I'm Julie Fahey, and I'm running to be the next state representative in House District 14. Thank you to City Club for hosting us, and to all of you in the audience for coming out to hear what we have to say, and to those listening on the radio. We have a presidential race right now that is getting a lot of attention these days. But it is so important that we have people civically engaged at the state and local level too. Many of the decisions that get made in state and local government have a bigger impact on our lives than the decisions made in DC. So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to run for state representative and to have an opportunity to have an in-depth discussion about the issues here today. I grew up in a small town in Illinois where the economy was in part dependent on manufacturing and industrial jobs. Like many small towns in the Midwest, over the years, the economy shifted and those kinds of jobs were no longer readily available. My father-in-law was able to get a job right out of high school in one of the factories, and he is retiring this year and was able to build a middle-class life for himself with a house and a secure retirement. But by the time I came into high school in the early 90s, those kinds of jobs were no longer available. So having seen how some of the working people were left behind by this shifting economy, I became very passionate about making sure that everyone who works hard has a fair shot to succeed in life. And that we as a society provide some level of economic security and opportunity for working families in the middle class. So those are the issues that really drive me and are the reason why I'm running. For the last 16 years, I've been a nonprofit and business consultant, which means that I work with organizations and nonprofits to help them hire the right kinds of people, pay their workers fairly, and build skilled workforces. My job is basically to make sure that organizations are places where people actually want to work and where workers are paid fair wages and benefits. About 11 years ago, my business partner and I started our own firm. So I also know what it's like to leave a stable job and live a life as an entrepreneur and small business person. I think that the perspectives that my professional work have given me will be very important as we continue to think about what kind of state we want to be both for workers and businesses here in Oregon. I've spent the last year on the campaign trail, knocking on doors and listening to the very real, everyday concerns of voters in the district. I have personally talked to over 2,500 people at their doorsteps. And one of the biggest things that I'm hearing about at the doors right now is that people aren't being listened to by their government right now. That there are too many elected officials just pursuing their own agenda rather than actually listening to what the people want. So I came into this campaign with issues that I wanted to work on, but I know it's not just about my own agenda and what I want to get accomplished. It's about actually listening to the needs of the people in my district and making sure that they have a voice in government. I absolutely will carry that philosophy and approach with me into Salem, along with all of the conversations I've had over the past year. So by far, the two issues that people bring up at the doors most frequently are our education system and homelessness. So I'd like to take a minute to talk about each of those things. I like to say that homelessness is a complicated problem. It's not just one problem, it's multiple different problems. You have people with substance abuse issues, untreated mental health issues, veterans, homeless families, and actually in Lane County we have a significant issue with homeless youth in our school system. Over 2,000 students are homeless, which averages out to one student for every classroom here in Eugene Springfield. I am a proponent of the Housing First model that says that if you connect a homeless person or family with a caseworker and provide them with housing, not only does that get them on a path out of homelessness, but it also ends up costing us less in the long run because we spend less on law enforcement response, park cleanup, and ER visits. So it is a smart use of taxpayer money. That's one of the things that I want to work on in the legislature, along with increasing access to mental health care and substance abuse programs, and working upstream to ensure that we have a sufficient supply of affordable housing. The other major issue that people in House District 14 bring up is our education system. In Oregon, we have one of the lowest high school graduation rates in the entire country, one of the shortest school years, and class sizes are too big in too many classrooms. If we truly had adequate funding for our school, there are a number of changes that we could make that would have a real impact on our system. The first one is adequate staffing. If we hire more teachers, that would help us to reduce class sizes, particularly in the early grades where individualized attention is most important. It would also allow us to hire a sufficient level of support staff, people like nurses, psychologists, social workers. So that would allow schools to address the health and well-being of each child, which would in turn help students to do their best in the classroom. We also could provide for a longer school year. Research shows that time in classroom is one of the most important factors contributing to student learning. And yet when our kids in Oregon graduate from high school, they will have had 1 year less of schooling than students in Washington. We also need to make sure that every child has access to high-quality early learning programs. Effective early learning programs are a critical part of ensuring that all children arrive at school ready to learn. Making sure that all children who are eligible for Head Start are actually able to attend, and that early childhood educators are paid a living wage would be a big step to accomplishing that goal. And finally, I have a particular passion for career and technical education. All of the research shows that students who go through career and technical education programs are more likely to graduate high school, more likely to have a job when they graduate, and that job is more likely to pay them higher wages. These programs help keep kids engaged in schools and are a great long-term investment for our state. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today, and I'm looking forward to a good debate and to hearing all of your questions.